Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be talking about reasons why I hate how right I am about all this crap. Um, I'm a little shaken up by the news that I just saw. 50 minutes ago, BBC just reported that 26 cruise missiles, I believe, were just launched from the Caspian Sea. It's unknown whether it was the Russian controlled area north of Azerbaijan. Okay, there's the Caspian Sea is kind of shaped like a peanut. The top half of the peanut is Russian. Okay, and if these cruise missiles were launched from where they should be launched from, they would have had to cross over Azerbaijani and Turkish airspace. Um, this comes on the heels of one very significant development that was reported by NBC News this morning. Um, I think I did have it written down actually. Four instances. The last one in February of 2015. Um, I don't know why this story just broke this morning, but it's everything that's going on today is really kind of frightening. Okay, so listen up and please share this video. This is important news that everybody needs to know. I'm going to cover a big sit rep on just what's going on. Former KGB agents tied with the Russian mafia have uh, sold. It wasn't clear whether they had actually made the transaction or were reportedly had attempted to, or whether they had done it. Okay, but it seems like it had already happened. This is past tense. Okay, last instance in February, radioactive material to the Islamic State 4 times. KGB agents, former KGB, now Russian mafia. Okay, and none of the YouTube uploads from the morning. I watched NBC News this morning on live TV. That's when I saw this report. But none of the other networks or little news channels have mentioned this. And there's some more talk today about this morning Turkish F-16s being harassed by a MiG-29. In fact, 8 of its F-16s reported being harassed from Monday night to Tuesday through Tuesday. Russia began violating Turkish airspace at 12 a.m. on Saturday. Um, so Friday night at midnight. Yeah. And since then, Saturday, basically, what Russian and American jets have been doing is enforcing a overlapped, undeclared no-fly zone, and that's led to this harassment. Okay, and now we have 26 freaking cruise missiles flying over a NATO ally. 21. It's either 21 or 26. That's that was the last thing I saw that I just had to, okay. The notes are full, but the shit's getting scary, son. Okay. All right. Okay. I just dropped the notes. All right. I'm literally nervous about this crap. All right. So I'm also just we're almost getting over the flu. So I'm not feeling that well right now. Um, I'm just going to take this from the top and try to discuss how they all relate at the end. Um, so in Ukraine, the OSCE has reported that TOS 1 multiple rocket launch systems, which are a serious violation of the meant ceasefire. This is a very destructive. Makes a grad look like a child's toy. It's a modern version of a grad, basically, and it packs a punch. All right, one of these things can basically level a village, no problem. And OSCE, which has been not really doing that great of a job, hasn't been allowed in many pro-Russian areas of Ukraine, has reported that these are in fact they're being used by the rebels or among the rebels. I don't see how anybody but a professional Russian soldier could man these things. They're modern. They didn't have them in Afghanistan. Most of the pro-Russian guys that would come on camera during the whole Donbass thing, they always like to talk about how they fought in Afghanistan. That's where the whole revenge thing ties in. Okay, the CIA paranoia is one of their primary motivations for this new I don't know, communist nationalist fanaticism, whatever's going on here. It's a fucking horde, is what it is. It's golden. Okay? And see, the whole Great Dark Horde thing is what's been going on for several years now. This is what the whole Golden Dawn probably has been all about, was leading us up to this point where we'd all be taken off guard and fighting amongst ourselves and arguing about bullshit. And, well, all is God's will. But while it is a telling example of, it's still kind of a shame that I'm probably the only one who's actually not using Defense of America as a platform to attack somebody else I don't like, you know? Like, I've been seeing Fox News try to actually talk strategic sense and act like patriots just a little bit, but they can't go 5 minutes without mentioning, Obama has no strategy. Obama had a strategy. Why the fuck would he tell you? Oh, let's let's put it on the wire. Come on. Anyway, all right. Wasn't trying to digress because this. Yeah. All right. So interesting developments in Kyrgyzstan and Belarus. Kyrgyzstan, after several years worth of protests and ethnic, like, damn near cleansings, like, some bad shit has been happening in Kyrgyzstan over the past several years, 5, 6 years. And what it's been leading towards was basically getting our air bases and everything shut down. And, like, turns out Russians have built a base in Kyrgyzstan. And a couple days ago, Kyrgyzstan had an election, and the pro-Russian party won, sweeping across the board. So, bye-bye Kyrgyzstan. And I don't know if we have any bases left there. I see on the Russian propaganda maps they still show us having 4 bases there, but I've seen at least 3 different instances in the news, spaced far enough apart to where I know they're separate, and bases were being shut down over the past several years, mostly before all this recent bullshit started. Anyway, and the ones that hadn't shut down had given like a date. Oh, we're gonna be shutting down. That was kind of the whole, Obama's thing. Those bases were only there to support the Afghanistan thing. But anyway, Belarus had supposedly Putin was trying to build a Russian airbase, and there were these massive protests about it. And Lukashenko says, no, you're not building a Russian base here. I had no idea that anybody was supposed to be building a Russian base here. Which is kind of surprising because Lukashenko has been, I don't want to say pro-Putin, but he's been going along with it for most of the time. It's like he kind of plays, not devil's advocate isn't quite the right word. He kind of plays the straw man. He kind of plays not controlled opposition, but like feigned democratic advisement. You know, like kind of like Nursultan of Kazakhstan, where it seems like he is a puppet of Putin. At the same time, he tries to act like he's independent enough to where people could assume, oh no, he couldn't possibly just be a puppet. You know, it's it's quite clever, but the battles he chooses are usually of none effect. And as far as this Russian airbase in Belarus goes, Belarus isn't even in the way. Like, you know, like it just doesn't seem to matter, you know. But it's a good opportunity for Lukashenko to help Putin pretend he's weak so that he can be underestimated. Understand? Okay. So, Russia has moved a substantial amount of ground equipment, including tanks, BTRs, and artillery, into the areas around Latakia and Syria. And a lot of this equipment has been seen in the past couple of days moving towards Homs or Hama. Well, Russia is still claiming that it has no intention and has had no ground operation. But there's a 3-week-old video of a brand new Russian BTR, which, you know, when they were seen in Ukraine, it was considered proof of actual Russian troops, not just pro-Russian militia in Ukraine. Okay? This is not the kind of thing that Russia gives away to secondhand people. In fact, this is the kind of thing that used to be made in Ukraine. So that when you see a new one, that's a pretty new one. And the newest ones that Russia has have completely separated models from the newest one that Ukraine has. Okay? And it's just kind of what Putin has been doing. It's like, who the fuck in their right mind would believe, oh, no, those aren't Russian soldiers. They're Crimea, Donbass, Luhansk, Chechnya, Georgia. Seriously. I have, let me just say something about the whole timing of the kunduz thing and this video. You can find the video of the supposed airstrike that hit the hospital. The airstrike might have hit nearby. Okay, but if you slow down the video, you can see an impact on one of the walls, which looks like an RPG hit it, possibly some shrapnel from a airstrike that landed nearby. Okay, but it's consistent with RPG damage. All right, and it's on the top of the wall right here. There's like a little indentation, the hole right here, and the ceiling, while looking like it's mostly on fire, the ceiling of this building, every part of the ceiling that you can see on the video of the Kunduz airstrike is intact. And you don't really need to see the whole ceiling to know that it's intact. Because if you know anything about the way damage on a building works in wartime, the fire slowly coming out of the windows. Okay, you see the black marks on the external side of the window where fire slowly came out of the windows. if the roof is taken out, the fire doesn't go out of the windows. Air goes in the windows and the fire goes up. And the whole fire gets really powerful really quickly. So there's simply nothing consistent with an airstrike having hit that hospital in the video. Something's up with that. And while the U.S. military and the State Department don't want to come out and say the whole thing's bullshit because they don't want to be insensitive, you can tell by the way they're kind of limiting the wording of the answers that they give that they're not assuming responsibility in any way. But at the same time, we're, a dignified people, and we don't like the idea that anything we did might have costed civilian lives. But of course, the pro-Russian media, it's not a fucking liberal media, there's a pro-Russian media, okay? And it's saying that, America bad, evil, kunduz strike. Meanwhile, I think Russia has flown about 100 sorties, and only a dozen or less have been to actual ISIL areas. They've been bombing our train and equip program. They've been bombing our allies in Hama and Homs and up there near where the Turkish border is, where the Turks have been supporting people. And the Jabhat al-Nusra has gotten a few strikes. ISIS has gotten a few strikes. But mostly what they're doing is going after the rebels. And it's in these places where, like Vice News and a lot of different, I don't know, documentarian type media companies, like Vice News, clearly there's some pro-Russian people on Vice News, but clearly there's some objective people on Vice News too, but it's going to go either way. You just got to be vigilant and know what the hell you're watching, and you can absorb the raw data and don't take the bias that they're trying to push on you. As far as Simon Ostrowski and the Russian Roulette series, best reporting ever. I'm serious. The best anything ever reported. The best documentary, the best news coverage ever was done by Simon Ostrowski in the Russian Roulette series. He's a hero. I probably wouldn't be able to prove a damn thing. I would just be a crazy person ranting about Russia, commie. Where's John McCarthy when you need him, kind of. If it wasn't for Vice News having cameras on the ground from the moment the little green men showed up in Crimea. And Simon Ostrowski got kidnapped and tortured in Donbass. And, if he didn't do that, man, how would we be able to see how could I claim anything suspicious was going on in Syria? I mean, I know it's a stretch for a lot of people. Obviously, it's a stretch for the media. They're poking at it a little bit here and there. You can kind of see occasionally when they're talking about it, somebody who's not talking, their face is kind of, But we know, all of us know, the pattern. You can see the character. You can see their action. Okay? And if you don't, you should probably go watch the Russian Roulette series. Because that combined with Vissarion, just knowing about Vissarion and what Vissarion is and what the fucking his existence means. Okay? A Russian funded fucking Jesus cult, basically. while the invasion plans commence, the expansion plans. And that should not only give you a very in-depth, thorough understanding of how to analyze what's going on as far as breaking news goes when you see it, but it should kind of send a chill through your spine. And if it doesn't, cruise missiles across a NATO country might have just happened an hour ago. Okay, I'm sniffling. Got the flu. 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So, cruise missiles after, apparently, American media is covering 4 instances in which former KGB, Russian mafia tied people tried to or succeeded to sell radioactive material to ISIS, to Islamic State. ISIS, Ishtar, usurper, mother goddess, mother Russia. Okay, it's all just a big satanic parody, okay? They're just rubbing it in your face. Yeah, mother Russia, ISIS. Oh. Anyway. So, what's been announced today, this morning, anyway, was that pro-government militias, heard this before, pro-government militias, pro-Russian militias, oh, so pro-something militias, are on their way with some Russian artillery to Hama, okay? And this morning, Russia is saying that, oh, we've talked to the Americans and we're not going to just deconflict with them. We're going to start a new cooperation with them. We're going to coordinate our activities and, oh, everything's going to be fine. Let's sing Kumbaya. And then about an hour later, Defense Secretary Ashton Carter says Russia's basically making that shit up. We have no intention of cooperating with them, and we haven't received any communication along this lines. And as long as Russia is bombing the people that we're trying to help, oh, we won't be fucking cooperating anytime soon, will we? This is all happening at the same time. This is all happening today while the fucking cruise missiles are being launched from the Caspian Sea into Syria. And if you're not familiar, okay, well, okay, the chair over, I had some oversteer on the chair there. We do decrease the camber or something. Okay. If you had like a map of the, you know, pull up a map of the central Asia, okay? You have the Caspian Sea right here, okay? And Iran is right here. Iran and Russia control most of the Caspian Sea. Here's a little tiny in the middle of the Caspian Sea is Azerbaijan, okay? And it's got like a big bridge over the middle of it. It's kind of got like a little, it looks like an eagle with its head in the water, okay? It's facing that way, all right? Caw-caw. Well, this is where Russia controls. It would have had the cruise missiles would have had to go over Azerbaijan. Now here is Turkey and Iraq. Okay, Turkey and Iraq. So it would have either had to go over Turkey, which they hit over near like near Hama and Latakia, which are in the north western portion of Syria. Okay, I'm just pointing to an imaginary map. How about that? Well, they would have had to have gone over Turkey unless they were fired from the very southern coast of the Caspian Sea, which I've said it before and I'll say it again. Most of Iran's navy is in the Caspian Sea. It's not in the Persian Gulf because they don't like Russia. Okay? They'll buy weapons from them, but they don't fucking trust them. Okay? That's always been the case. And the only sources for this whole Iran sending militias to prop up the Assad regime, that's from one Reuters report. And it has not been confirmed at all. It's an echo chamber of bullshit. That's all it is. It's just echoing off the walls, and nobody's seen these fuckers. And every time they've had a report that Iran was sending militias into Syria, it did not pan out. Well, so you have a path over Iranian and Iraqi airspace here and here, or over Azerbaijani and Turkish airspace to Syria. All right. I got to tell you, I don't see how anybody's going to like a bunch of cruise missiles launched over their territory. You know? And after a day like this, in which they start out bullshitting about the cooperation thing, and then we go into this story about how, okay, it seems to me like the cooperation thing was a response to the nuclear material story. Okay, then the cruise missile thing and the Ashton Secretary Ash Carter rebuttal kind of happened. Well, from what I can tell, a similar time frame. Um, so in other news, um, the USS Porter has now joined the Donald Cook in the Black Sea. The the German news is reporting one of its papers. It's best selling. I don't know what that means. Could be fucking Russian propaganda for all I know. But it's getting echoed out there all over German media and now in American media that the new estimate for the number of migrants that have gone to Germany is now 1.5 million. Um, and they have basically started a big discussion about, well, what are we going to do with the over 200,000 that need to be deported? That was interesting. Because just as I was picturing all the blood and carnage that's going to ensue from this, not only did my wife's cell phone go ding, but then we just had a power fluctuation. That was kind of creepy. Moving on. All right. So, another interesting investigation this morning, in addition to the radioactive material being sold by fucking KGB agents to ISIS, in addition to that, there's a new effort to investigate why hundreds of identical pickup trucks seem to be being used by Islamic State. Now, the language that they're using reporting this is very interesting. Because on the one hand, they're saying that it might be just people buying and giving, ISIL says, we want these kind of pickup trucks, and people are just buying them for them. Wow, yeah, that's nice. But right before the end of the story there I saw this morning, live as I was watching it on NBC News, the last statement was something to the effect of circumventing the dealerships and the supply chain. And see, that's what I thought was going on. Was that somehow there's a fake dealership, or a fake buyer, or a fake something set up that's actually, you know, gotten this taken care of. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they all got there in northern Iraq, where basically Turkey doesn't have much of a presence, Iran doesn't have much of a presence. In fact, ISIS attacked Iran early on when it was first showing up down there. Three Iranian border guards were killed by ISIS. Mm-hmm. Old Kadyrov is right here. Okay, there's a little tiny border, Turkey and Iran, and then right here is Iraq and Mosul. It's like driving from here to Dallas. Okay, it's nothing. All right. So I'm hoping this investigation yields some interesting results because yeah, that many identical fucking pickup trucks. And there's like one generation of them, and a couple of years later, there's another generation of them, and they all seem to be similar years when they come out. Like they all get bought in bulk, kind of is what it looks like. Um, you sniffling on camera. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, all right. I think that's everything. I do want to say something about this TPP. Everybody's heard about the TPP. Most people here because fucking Russian media controls most of the media. TPP bad, right? Well, Russia and China have like a dozen similar agreements. Okay, and I don't know if you noticed how China's economy has been growing all this time. And right as we signed the TPP, China's economy has this. Oh, we got to recalculating. You know, like Tom Tom saw a roadblock ahead. Recalculating. Yeah, the TPP. We now have basically a NAFTA with Australia and New Zealand and our other Pacific Islander allies, just little islands. Okay, in Canada. And what this does is based entirely up to us. Okay. Now, the naysayers are to a certain extent correct in the individual facts that they blow out of proportion. But the fact of the matter is, what they say can only be true if American businesses have less initiative than these tiny island nations' businesses. It is entirely up to us to seize the day, as it were, and make this TPP good for America. And guess what? United States auto manufacturers are already planning for this. They've been behind this. This is going to create American jobs, not cost them. And the ones it creates are going to be manufacturing jobs. Okay? That's cool. That's good. That's wonderful. It's exactly what we need to be doing. And while we're going to be creating jobs over there too, those are our allies. You know? We got to stop being me all the time. The fact of the matter is, Barack Obama created more jobs than Mitt Romney said he could. Now, while lately things have been played so close to the vest, it's kind of making me uncomfortable. After so many times of somebody proving himself right, after so many times of somebody redeeming himself, how long is it going to take for us to maybe give him the benefit of the doubt and stop listening to these people just Obama, Obama, Obama? There's never been any evidence of any crap they say about it. And anybody who thinks he's not a Christian because of the stuff he says, compare it to the things that I say about, quote, Christians, okay? Because what he's doing is criticizing them for the same things that I criticize them for. All right? And one might even read into his terminology that he makes a distinction, as I do, between Christianity, which is a direct spiritual relationship with God, and religion. Anyway. Regardless of how you feel about our president, he's our president. And it says, I heard recently that it even says in the Quran, but it definitely says it in the Bible, that we're supposed to obey the laws of the land. We're supposed to put our trust in the government where we live. Okay. And if anybody thinks that, Jesus is back, or that the Holy Spirit never left, they need to remember the quote. And it doesn't matter whether you think these two things. Any type of Christian believes one of these two things, that either the Holy Spirit remained with us, or that Jesus is back now. Either way, you need to remember this one thing. Okay? The government shall be upon his shoulders. You need to have faith in God. Okay, and I'm not talking about the rationalization and the justification of not having faith in our leadership because you have faith in God. It's inexcusable. Okay, just because we have gay people here and crap like that does not mean that God abandons us and lets some fucking whatever you think about Obama take over. Okay, God's still in control here. Maybe God's just tired of you being bigots. I mean, consider it, for once. Well, you're supposed to have faith in God. Okay. And it's pretty telling that all the same people who say that Obama is the devil or that Obama is the Antichrist and are all over Putin's nuts at the same time. And just, oh, Putin's awesome. Oh, Putin's making Obama look weak. Oh, let me see his nipples again. All these douchebag idiots, okay? They all want to say that the devil's in control of the earth. Sorry. Wrong. They're trying to sell you that idea, along with the other idea. They're trying to make you go against God's word. Period. Plain and simple. And, well, here's a little interesting factoid on top of that. These people have been on here for years, and nothing they ever say is gonna happen ever fucking happens. My channel's a little over 5 months old, and everything I've been saying has come true. The last once upon a time, I mean, down to the littlest, tiniest, minuscule detail, people. Okay, I have told you that I was Merlin. Merlin was not a name. Okay, Merlin. Mer. Mer is code word for the holy couple, kind of. Okay. Myrrh is myrrh. Not frankincense and myrrh, just myrrh. A myrrh, a cup. Anyway, but to prove that I'm allowed to be silly, because I know that sounds fucking silly. I like that it sounds silly. And to prove that, well, not only was I Merlin, as you understand what Merlin was, though not named Merlin, I was trapped in a fucking tree for a very long time. I've considered it to be about 4 centuries. Okay? And in addition to this, there's a lot of stories from not only this realm but other realms that are very very relevant to this realm that explain the true nature of spiritual existence. And well, I deserve a little help, so I got a little help. And the show Once Upon a Time was made as a result of that. It was me asking some children of mine, okay, from very, very long, long ago past lives, okay, to make the show that would tell the memories of mine that are too complicated or too emotionally distressing for me to get out, or for me to fluidly tell as a story myself. So before I basically snapped my fingers and made this happen, I asked my wife, what did we want to name this show? She said, Once Upon a Time. This was several months before it came out. Okay. And I had even did an extra snap to kind of change the timeline so that we didn't have to wait that long before it came out. But there was no releases or anything of it existing yet. No. Well, before then, and since then, and certainly longer than it's made it into the show, I've said that I was trapped in a tree. Okay? Getting back to where I was talking about. Well, the last episode of Once Upon a Time, they go to Camelot. And I was just talking about Camelot before the new season came out. Talking about Camelot. And there's the fucking tree. They're going to find Merlin in the story. Like the characters all need Merlin's help, and they go to find Merlin. Help us, Merlin! And there's a tree. And guess what? Merlin's trapped inside the fucking tree. Yeah, my wife looked over at me, and I just go, "Yeah." I know it's kind of hard to comprehend why I don't give a fuck what trolls could possibly ever say about me. But that little occurrence should give you a clue. How many months have I been talking about? I mean, I even went on my blog and posted like several year old different mentions of how I, basically trapped myself in that tree to prove how much I loved my wife. Okay. And now on the show that I claim to have created with magic, Merlin in a tree. Ooh, coincidence, maybe. Oh, that makes 1,461 completely improbable occurrences that all circumstantially prove who I am. That's hilarious to me. And to those who already know who I am, oh, it's pretty fucking funny too. So yeah. That's all. I'm done. Fucking cruise missiles. Radioactive material being sold by the KGB to ISIL. To terrorists, basically. Islamic State terrorists. Cruise missile going across NATO allies. 8 F-16s flown by Turkish pilots being harassed by MiG-29. Russia says no ground operations, just pro-Assad militias. Meanwhile, there's like people saying there's real Russian ground forces moving toward Hamas. You know, I don't like having to repeat myself. That's what reality is doing right now. Just because no one listens to me. All the stuff in prophecy already happened. I'm literally making it happen again. Just to get your fucking attention. How long am I going to have to keep this up before Armageddon goes into full swing? Anyways. If you're a prayerful person, you might want to get to praying. If you're a la la la, I don't care kind of person, this is all your fault. And the sooner you learn to blame yourself and make a course correction, the better. And if you're just an open-minded person who's recently found my channel, all I can say is this. The truth, this should be all that is required of me. But I've done more than that. And all I can say is that the truth should be enough. Thanks, everybody. Like, subscribe. Hopefully I won't have to make another video by the end of the day. Hopefully that's all the developments that'll happen. God help us all. Anyway, pray for me and my wife to not have the flu anymore. That'd be nice too. But we're tough. We'll manage. Pray that people wake up so World War III doesn't have to happen. How about that? Peace.